You are cleaning out the garage on a Saturday. Maybe you found your grandfather's old wrench set in a coffee can behind the workbench. Maybe it is a set of chisels you got at a garage sale 10 years ago and never used. Maybe it is the pair of pliers that fell behind the drawer and lived there for 2 winters, and you pull them out and they are covered in rust, orange, crusty, ugly rust, the kind that turns your fingers brown when you pick it up, the kind that makes a good steel tool feel like a rock. So you look at them for a minute and you think, well, that is trash now, and you almost throw them in the bucket. Or you go online and you type in rust remover and you find a bottle of blue chemical at the hardware store for $12 or $15 in a plastic jug with a picture of a shiny wrench on the front, and you buy it and you brush it on and it works all right, and then you never see that bottle again until you need it, and the chemical is dried up in the jug. Put the bottle back on the shelf and do not throw the tool away, because there is a $2 liquid sitting in your kitchen pantry right now that will take the rust off that tool overnight. No brushing, no scrubbing, no wire wheel. You put the tool in a jar. You go to bed. In the morning, you take it out, and the rust wipes off with a paper towel. And I have been doing this on old tools for 30 years. I am Artie Sterling. Let me be straight with you right at the front, so you know whose workbench you are leaning on. I spent 10 years as a Finnish carpenter before I ever taught a class, and 30 years teaching high school shop after that. And a good part of what I taught those kids was that a rusted tool is almost never trash. It is a tool waiting for its bath. Now, before I show you the fix, I want to tell you what rust actually is, because if you understand it, the trick makes perfect sense, and you will remember the fix for the rest of your life. Rust is not dirt. This is where most folks go wrong right at the start. They see the orange crust on a wrench, and they think it is like grime, like grease, like something stuck on the outside that needs scraping. It is not stuck on. It is what the outside of the tool has turned into. Iron, which is what your good steel tools are made of, wants very badly to marry itself to oxygen when there is a little water around to help, and when it does, that iron on the surface stops being iron and becomes something new. Iron oxide, which is a soft orange crusty stuff that flakes and crumbles and takes up more room than the iron it used to be. That is why a rusty bolt gets stuck. The bolt actually swelled up as it rusted. That is why old rusty tools feel rough and pitted. The iron is not smooth anymore because the surface has been eating itself. So the fix is not to scrub the rust off. That is what a wire wheel does, and it works, but it also takes off a lot of the good metal underneath, and it makes a mess, and it takes an hour of your Saturday. The fix is to unmarry the iron and the oxygen, which sounds like some serious chemistry, but the thing that does it is sitting in a jug in your pantry. That thing is plain white vinegar, not the fancy vinegar, not the balsamic, not the wine vinegar you use for cooking. The plain, clear, cheap, distilled white vinegar you can buy at any grocery store for $2 or $3 a gallon. That vinegar. Vinegar is what chemists call a mild acid, and a mild acid will slowly, patiently, quietly break the bond between the iron and the oxygen in that orange crust. It undoes the rust from the inside out. The iron goes back into the vinegar as a dissolved thing, and what is left behind on your tool is a soft, blackish residue that wipes right off with a paper towel. You do not do anything. The vinegar does the work while you go to bed. Here is how you do it. It takes about 5 minutes of your time. The rest is waiting. You need 3 things. 1, a glass jar or a plastic container big enough that your tool can lie down flat inside it, fully submerged. An old spaghetti sauce jar will handle a small chisel. A plastic tub from a big salad container will handle a wrench. For a bigger tool, a 5-gallon bucket works fine. 2, enough plain white vinegar to cover the tool completely. 3, the rusty tool. If your tool is big or has a lot of parts, take it apart as much as you can. A rusty pair of pliers, take the little bolt out. A tool with a wooden handle, get the wooden handle off, because you do not want to soak wood in vinegar all night. If you cannot get it off, leave the wood side sticking out of the jar. Put the tool in the container. Pour the vinegar over it until every rusty part is covered. If part of the tool is sticking up out of the vinegar, that part will not clean, so keep it under. Put a lid on it, not tight, or lay a piece of plastic over the top to keep the smell down. Vinegar smells like vinegar, and after a few hours it will smell like vinegar and rust, which is a slightly worse smell. Then leave it alone. How long? For light surface rust, an orange dusting on a wrench that has been in the drawer. 4 to 6 hours will do it. For the crusty rust on an old chisel or a plane that has been in a barn, overnight, 10, 12 hours. On a really bad one, 24. You will know it is ready when you pull the tool out, and the rust wipes off with a soft cloth or a paper towel. If it does not wipe off easy, back in for another few hours. There is no such thing as too long within reason. A day and a half in vinegar is not going to hurt a steel tool. 2 weeks might start to eat the good metal underneath, so do not forget it entirely. But the difference between 8 hours and 18 hours is not going to matter. When it looks done, take it out, wipe it dry with a paper towel, and see what you have. Now here is the part almost every video on this leaves out, and it is the whole thing. You have to dry that tool and oil it right away, right now, not later, not tomorrow. Because here is what happens if you do not. That tool that just came out of the vinegar has a clean, bare metal surface, freshly stripped of its rust, and it is wet. And bare, wet iron in the open air will start to rust again within minutes, not hours, minutes. You will pull a beautiful, clean wrench out of the vinegar, feel proud of yourself, set it on a paper towel to dry, walk away for coffee, and come back to find an orange bloom of new rust already forming on the surface. It is called flash rust, and it is real, and it is fast. So the moment that tool comes out of the vinegar, you rinse it under warm water to get the vinegar off, you dry it thoroughly with a rag or a paper towel, and then you rub it down with a light coat of oil. Any oil, machine oil, 3-in-1, or plain cooking oil in a pinch, just a thin coat wiped on with a rag, covering every surface. That oil is a thin barrier that keeps the air away from the fresh, clean iron. Do that step, and your tool will stay clean for years. Skip that step, and you will be doing this all over again next week. I say it's strong because I have watched more people wreck a beautiful rust job by walking away for lunch than any other mistake. Do not walk away. Rinse, dry, oil, all in the same 15 minutes. Now, a few honest notes, because I never want to promise you the moon. This works on steel and iron. It does not do anything for aluminum, brass, or copper, because those metals do not rust the way iron does. So if you have got a corroded aluminum tool, do not put it in the vinegar. You will not hurt it, but you will not fix it either. This does not restore pitted metal. If the rust has been eating a tool for 20 years, the surface underneath is going to be rough and pitted, and no vinegar in the world is going to make it smooth again. What the vinegar does is stop the rusting and clean the surface. It does not add metal back. That is honest. And for a tool with a lot of intricate parts or fine springs or hidden crevices, the vinegar will get in everywhere, and you have to be very careful with the drying and oiling in those spots. Water hiding in a spring is flash rust waiting to happen. But for the ordinary rusty wrench, the crusty old chisel, the pliers that fell behind the workbench, the garden shears left out in the rain, this trick is beautiful. And $2 of vinegar will clean 20 tools before you have to change the jar. Now let me tell you a small story, because this one meant something to me. When my father died back in the 80s, I inherited his tool chest. He had been a millwright, and there were tools in there of his that I recognized from being small. His pipe wrench, his set of chisels that his own father had given him before he passed. They had been in his garage for the last 10 years of his life when he was not doing much work anymore, and they had rusted badly. Some of them looked like they were done for. I could not have brought myself to throw those tools out for anything in the world. So I spent a Saturday afternoon setting them all in jars of vinegar, every one of them. I lined up 8 or 9 jars along my workbench, filled them up, and I went to bed. The next morning, I brought back every single one of those tools. His pipe wrench with his hand marks worn into the handle. His chisels my grandfather had given him, all of them, cleaned, oiled, sitting on my bench, looking like something a man could still work with. I use his pipe wrench about once a year, still, 35 years later. It is one of the possessions I have that I would carry out in a fire. $2 of vinegar and a Saturday night gave me my father's tools back. That is not the kind of thing you can buy at the hardware store. Now, Why does nobody tell you this? Same story as everything else at this bench. There is a whole aisle at the hardware store for rust removers, chemical sprays, gels, kits, wire brushes, cups that fit on a drill, $12, $15, $20 a bottle. There is money in that aisle. There is no display in that store for a bag of small magnets or a bottle of the plainest vinegar in the pantry. A company cannot make a business selling you what you already own. There is no advertisement for what your grandfather already knew. And so the aisle fills up with plastic jugs of blue chemical, and the plain vinegar sits quietly in the grocery store 2 blocks away, and the trick that saved my father's tools quietly stopped being taught. Not because anybody hid it, because nobody profits by saying it. So here is what I would ask of you. This weekend, go find one rusty thing in your garage or your basement. A tool, a hinge, a rusted bolt, anything with rust on it that you had been meaning to throw away. Set it in a jar of our plain white vinegar tonight, cover it, and go to bed. In the morning, rinse it, dry it, and oil it. Then come down to the comments and tell me what came back. Tell me what the tool was and where it had come from and whether it was worth saving. Because most of the time, when a tool is rusty, there is a story about who used to own it, and I would like to hear yours. I read every one. And the next time we sit down at this bench, I want to show you something a great many folks do not know how to do properly, which is sharpening a plain kitchen knife on the bottom of a coffee mug. Yes, a coffee mug. The unglazed ring on the bottom of any ceramic mug in your cabinet is a sharpening stone hiding in plain sight, and in about a minute you can put an edge on a dull kitchen knife that will surprise you. I will show you the whole of it. So put down the $12 bottle, pick up a jar of vinegar, save the tools your father left you. Keep it simple, keep it cheap, and do it right the first time. The folks who built the furniture in this country knew that, and we are going to remember it together.